I support Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency.
That's how Americans feel right now. That was in Nebraska, by the way, at a town hall by MAGA Republican Mike Flood. Whether you're Democrat, Independent, Republican, you're getting hit hard by Elon Musk and Donald Trump and the Trump regime and their oligarchs and families. They're just rubbing it in our faces. I mean, you see posts like this. Ivanka Trump shows off her impressive jiu-jitsu moves with Gisele Bündchen's boyfriend's brother. I don't even know what the headline's talking about, but they're bragging about all of that while we hear and we see headlines and stories about Social Security offices being closed and Elon Musk calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme. They're going after Medicaid. They're firing veterans. They're treating veterans like crap, and they're gutting the federal government. And there's Donald Trump goes golfing again, off for another vacation. Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, who's responsible as well for the kidnapping of people who were here in America, sending them to concentration camps in El Salvador without due process, including women who were rejected from the El Salvador concentration camps because those camps only allow men, and they were shipped back to Venezuela, it's believed, where they already fled from the Maduro regime. She's out there doing cosplay, and she's dressed up in her different outfits. Once again, the American people are suffering. The American people feel the pain, and these MAGAs just party it up in Mar-a-Lago. They couldn't be more removed from our reality, and they couldn't care less about us. Headlines like this: a list of Social Security offices across the U.S. expected to close this year. Over 47 Social Security offices closing. And I'll show you a clip in a little bit of Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick saying that if you complain about not receiving a Social Security check 1 month, you're probably a fraudster and a criminal, and DOJ should come after you. I'll play for you the clip. Headlines like this: as Trump broadens crackdown, focus expands to legal immigrants and tourists. We've seen travel advisories issue from some politicians in Canada, but we've seen travel advisories from UK and Germany and all throughout the EU and other places. They're like, look, if you travel to America, you could get thrown in an ICE detention center, or worse, you can get sent to concentration camps in El Salvador right now, and you may die and nobody hears from you ever again, and you'll be denied due process. This happened on Friday. The acting Social Security head, someone by the name of Leland Dudek, says that he was consulting with the Justice Department about shutting down the entire Social Security Administration because Leland claimed that they would be unable to administer Social Security based on a federal judge from Maryland's court order that said that Elon Musk and DOJ should not get access to our Social Security information and our medical records and our private health records. The federal judge just said DOJ shouldn't have access to it, but the Social Security Administration and administrator can still function. But on that basis, where do they go right away? Shut down Social Security. The judge had to post a public letter on the federal docket, which is unprecedented, saying, I never said that you can't continue to administer Social Security like it has been for decades on decades. I just said people should not be having their privacy breached by Elon Musk and DOJ. No wonder Donald Trump's support is in the gutter. Just compare Trump's approval or disapproval to that of other presidents at this time. I mean, he is so far below Biden, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and his 2025 is starting to crash, and it's getting to those 2017 levels right now. I told you about Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick telling seniors on Social Security that if you complain, if your checks don't come, you're a fraudster. If you didn't believe me, you're like, there's no way he said that. He went on a podcast called All In, which is run by these like tech oligarch billionaire people, and they brag about how much money they have in their fancy yachts and cars and mansions and all of that. That's what they do on it. And here's what Howard Lutnick says. You can hear for yourself. Let's play it.
Let's say Social Security didn't send out their checks this month. My mother-in-law, who's 94, she wouldn't call and complain. She just wouldn't. She'd think something got messed up, and she'll get it next month.
Yeah.
A fraudster always makes the loudest noise, screaming, yelling, and complaining.
And I'll play this clip for you as well. Here is Howard Lutnick being asked, do you think you should show DOJ show a little more empathy to people and not be so cruel? And Howard Lutnick, like, no, we should be cruel. And if you're like, Ben, there's no way he said, no, and he said that they should be more cruel. I'll play it for you. Here's the clip right there.
Before we get there, I want to ask one last question on the cuts. Can we speak do we need to speak in a more empathetic way? Because that $1 trillion of spending flows into someone's pocket. Some percentage of that pays people a salary, and they live on that income. And I think a lot of this is important for you to highlight, because a lot of people are reacting.
This was a week where Donald Trump staged a fake classroom in the White House to announce an executive order that he was going to get rid of the Department of Education. Trump is picking on seniors, he's picking on veterans, he's picking on disabled and poor kids. This was him announcing the elimination of the Department of Education, and that everybody supports it, he says here. That it's very popular. Let's play it.
We're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs, and this is a very popular thing to do, but much more importantly, it's a common sense thing to do, and it's going to work. Absolutely, it's going to work. And
horrific stuff. Elon Musk, meanwhile, is trying to buy another election, this one in Wisconsin. There's the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. There's a vacant seat that will decide who's going to control the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And there's a pro-democracy candidate, Judge Susan Crawford. There's a far-right extremist MAGA candidate, Schimmel. Elon Musk is offering $100 to Wisconsin voters ahead of that Supreme Court election. Do you see what the oligarchs are doing? Do you see why we needed campaign finance reform, and why the right-wing Supreme Court overturning campaign finance laws in the Citizens United case has been so destructive and has opened up the floodgates for a lot of this oligarchy? We need checks and balances, and here's a prime example why. So on Friday, Donald Trump says that he never signed the executive order for the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which then led to the kidnapping of about 300 individuals who the Trump regime claimed were terrorists. Venezuela gang member, enemy combatant terrorists is who they were labeled. Shipped them to El Salvador. The Trump regime made an ISIS-style video where they basically tortured the individuals on video. You saw their faces and they were treated like dirt, never to be heard from again. We know some of the backstory of these individuals. There have been court hearings. A federal judge in Washington, D.C. seems very close to holding Trump and his regime in contempt for what they did, violating a court order saying you can't ship these people without due process until we figure out what the hell is going on here. You're declaring there's a war? What war are you declaring? And you have to give the people some rights. How can people have the ability to challenge if you're saying that they're a gang member? What are you basing your criteria on? Here's Donald Trump saying that he did not sign it. Play this clip.
It doesn't sound like this judge, who the DOJ is arguing with today about the deportation flights. He wants to know why the proclamation was signed in the dark, his words, and why people were rushed onto planes.
Because we want to get criminals out of our country, number one, and I don't know when it was signed because I didn't sign it. Other people handled it, but Marco Rubio's done a great job, and he wanted them out, and we go along with that.
And obviously he's trying to distance himself from the Alien Enemies Act right now, because I think they sent a lot of people to El Salvador concentration camps who were not gang members. I know they sent some women there, because we've seen some of the declarations by the ACLU. Women were sent there, and the concentration camp is only for men. Then those women were sent back, I believe, to Venezuela, where they fled in the first place the Maduro regime. What do you think Maduro is going to do to those women who are shipped back to Venezuela, who are asylum seekers? There was that other story of the professional Venezuela soccer player, came to the United States lawfully under our asylum laws, registered himself, that's how he was in the system, but he had a Real Madrid tattoo for the football club Real Madrid. And on that basis, the Trump regime said that he's a terrorist, gangster, enemy combatant, and shipped him to a concentration camp. By the way, here's Trump's signature on the Alien Enemies Act. Later, the Trump regime tried to say, oh, Donald Trump didn't say what you heard him say. He said he never signed the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. He never said he was on a time machine and went back to 1798. So ridiculous. Donald Trump posts April 2nd as Liberation Day in America. For decades, we have been ripped off. Just more tariff threats. And then the same old stories come out. He threatens Liberation Day where he's going to tariff everybody, but then he'll be flexible. And so he does the tariffs. He pulls off the tariffs. He does the tariffs. He takes off the tariffs. The boy who cried tariffs. It's embarrassing. And countries are fed up. Europe's not playing this game anymore. They're like, go F yourself. We're going to form our own alliances. Do what you want to do. We're going to act like adults and behave maturely. If you want to trade, trade. But we'll build up without you. Same thing, Canada. Shout out to our Canadian supporters boycotting all things American. 85-90% drops in tourism in certain areas. Really hitting America where it's hurt. Not buying American products. Let's take a look. Remember that video I showed you at the outset? You know how all the MAGAs, by the way, credit to PBS. They ran a great piece on that. Remember how all the MAGAs are saying, oh, all these people who show up, they're like George Soros funded, they're paid for by the Democrats. These are all just activists. Now, these are people who live in the district, who want answers, who are suffering, who are living paycheck to paycheck, who are constituents, who want to be treated like citizens and constituents. These are some of the people outside of that rally or the town hall by MAGA Republican Representative Flood. Play the clip.
There is no organized protest, but in this deep red congressional district, those here have deep-seated concern about President Trump and Elon Musk.
So are we going to sit at home on the couch and let these billionaires control the country? Hell no.
I almost kind of want to cry. It's just I don't see any hope.
Okay, where are you from? Columbus.
Contrary to some Republican claims that outside groups come to disrupt.
Who's from the congressional district? All of you are from the congressional district. Has anyone been paid to be here?
No.
No one. Okay.
I'm actually taking work off to be here.
You're taking work off to be here?
I'm losing money to be here.
Same here. We are the boss, not the president. We are their constituents. You don't have to follow all of us, but we have to have a voice.
Isn't that in such stark contrast to what's been going on with the Fight the Oligarchy tour with Bernie Sanders and AOC? Right, 34,000 people showed up to watch them in Denver. Another city in Colorado, close to 12,000. Arizona, 15,000. These crowds are growing in size. People are pumped. Take a look at this. This was the speech in Greeley, Colorado. They went right to the district of a MAGA Republican Congress member, Gabe Evans. Watch this.
See you in November.
People were pumped. People were pumped. Here was Senator Sanders at a speech in Denver. Let's take a watch.
So the point that Alexandria made a few minutes ago is exactly the right point. And that is what the right wing wants us to do is to turn on each other. They want to divide us up by the color of our skin, or where we were born, or what our religion is, or what our sexual orientation is. That's how they win. They divide us up. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but I do know that 99% is a hell of a bigger number than 1%. And I do know that if we stand together, we are the vast majority of people, we can defeat Trumpism. We can create a political movement so that we have a government and economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%.
While all of this is taking place, Trump's defense secretary is doing Twitter or X polls. Better name, what should we call the Department of Defense? Department of Defense? Department of War? The People's Pentagon? As our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski says, he's really into renaming stuff, deleting black people from military history, and attacking our veterans. But he loves the rename. Rename this, rename that. Can you please just allow the federal government to function? Can you not attack veterans? Can you not steal people's Medicaid and not steal people's Social Security? Can you not continue to talk about annexing or taking over Canada or Panama Canal or Greenland? Can you stop with this tariff crap? Can you stop tanking the markets? Can we just be normal and fight for people, help people, show empathy, handle ourselves with dignity? Not with this Trump regime. The people are pissed. The people are rising up. Peacefully protesting people are pissed. I'm pissed. This is your network. We're going to build this together. We're going to highlight the things that you want us to highlight here. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.